I'm really interested in challenges. I want to play characters that I don't know if I can do. I need to feel that kind of walking on a tightrope. I find that really exciting, and I think that it's the only way that I can keep interested, and therefore I hope an audience can keep interested in the films that I do.
Everything you do as an actor ends up taking you somewhere else. I think all of the emotions that you have to go through, whether it's like loving a girl or laughing outrageously at something hilarious, or, you know, everything I've ever done in a film, it requires this getting to some sort of emotional reality that is contrary to the actual setting that you're in.
I feel very lucky that I get to play characters that are so complex I can't help but love them because they feel real to me. But that's most of the roles that I've gotten to play, and you love them because of their flaws, not in spite of them.
You have to just sort of feel it out, you know, and take the chances. And if you feel like on some level it's grounded in some sort of reality, that's really the most important thing. I know that sounds like it might be an oxymoron, you're doing this crazy broad character that's grounded in reality, but it is important to understand where the character's coming from, what his motivations are, you know, whether it's jealousy or, you know, insecurity or whatever it is. And then you just sort of like, you know, go with that and try to play these crazy big moments in some sort of real way.
My job is trying to play a character that will convince people that I'm that person. If you get a wonderful script like we did on this, that's not quite so hard to do, because it's a ready-made story for you, and all you've got to do is to make people believe that you're that person in that circumstance, like any part you play.
My preparation is always pretty much the same, regardless of whether it's, you know, $150 million film or $1.5 million or whatever it may be. I've got to do a lot of homework, and I've just got to be well equipped when I come onto the floor, and I want to come onto the floor with ideas, and I want to also be well prepared so I have the ability to have a freedom to explore any avenue on the day and have fun.
I think it's always really helpful to just incorporate anything that's happening in life into your work. Obviously, in a way that makes sense, but you know, I think acknowledging it and sort of threading it into what you're doing is always helpful.
Being an actor is the first thing that I remember wanting to do in life. I remember at 14, 15 years old, watching some classic films, spending months and months watching all the great classics, all the great performers of the past, and being so incredibly inspired by them and saying to myself, one day I want to come close to doing something that good. So I think that thirst or that drive to just achieve what I believe is something as good as, you know, those heroes that I have is what continues to make me want to do this.
I always get really excited about finding a character that has a really great, strong background to them, you know. And that's not to say that, you know, the girl next door can't be interesting. It's just very often she hasn't been portrayed in that way. And I'd love to see that, you know, because it's such a kind of default thing to just make her kind of cutesy and stuff, but it'd be great if it wasn't that way and if you could really add a backbone to her. And that's what I feel like I've been very lucky with the characters that I've played, that they've kind of come my way, and that it's really just given me something to think about, because you're just going to get lazy otherwise. If you don't have anything to think about, you're just going to get lazy and you're just going to start pulling moves that you know work, you know. Every single character an actor takes on, they need to treat that person as if they were real, in order to feel the correct amount of responsibility for their existence, because your job is to create a real, live, breathing, full, rich, multifaceted, convoluted, complex person, and that's very difficult to do if you don't care about that person. When you get a chance to feel really emotional in something, it's very cathartic. Or you get to be angry, it's great. It's all those emotions that you're not allowed to show in real life. You've got to be sort of in check, and it's beautiful to be able to let rip. So I like if I can move people or make people laugh or anything. It's a joy.
and I don't know. I really love it, and I hope I get to do more of it.
I get out of the car in the morning and I go, don't run, it looks silly. Just walk to your trailer. Because I love it. And I'm allowed, for whatever reason, to do those movies and do those huge movies which you grew up wanting to do. That's what I grew up when I was 6 years old. That's what I wanted to do, is make big movies. But then I can, go off and make Shifty with Iran Creevy, or Joe Wright's Hannah, and I'm very lucky, because whenever I'm getting slightly frustrated with one medium for whatever reason, I get to go and do something which is the other way, which seems to work really well for me.
Action movies are, I think, even more fun to make than to watch for me, because I'm involved in them. So the stuff I learn and the stuff I have to do is just incredible. I could never do it in my real life, because it would never come up to that. But I think, yes, it's wonderful. Our body is a wonderful instrument. We can express so much with the body language, the face expressions, and in so many moments in life, we don't really need to talk. It even exists. There are books about body language, but it's an interesting story. It's an interesting thing to explore as an actor too.
I call acting 3D anthropology, or archaeology, in a way that your actors are sort of out there digging away at whatever, sort of in the mine shaft of the collective emotions of human beings across, like, the present and the past and history. And the actors kind of have to bring back their findings and put them in, as it were, the glass case of a motion picture.
When I read a script, I'm looking at pretty much two things. One is if the writer thought about the character and that the character could possibly exist outside of the script, as opposed to just being used as a pawn for a story. And then the other thing I look at and wonder is if I could do something with it and bring myself to it and make it something that would be entertaining to perform. Because I suppose that the most entertaining things to perform is probably the most entertaining to watch.
In order for me to feel strongly to sign on to something, it's two things. It's what the film represents as a whole, which sometimes changes by the time I see the movie again. I go, oh, it's a different message, but it doesn't matter. It's the feeling, the intention that I have going into it as the bigger picture of the project, and then you have to have, or at least I feel like for me, I have to have some sort of point of view where I feel like I'm the only one that can do this thing with that, with those words, and with that, what that represents to me.
As an actor, there's a lot of control that we lose, and we immediately don't have the moment you start a project. You can do the best, you can give the best of yourself, and have done the most amazing research, and then the director takes it into an editing room for 9 months with his editor, and it might be a completely different thing. So if you think about it that way, the actor is the one element in a project that has the least amount of power.
Working in the theatre really exercises your kind of acting muscles, and that sounds really teachery, but it really, really helps you get kind of quick and direct in finding out what characters are like. And because on films you really don't have the time, and as I was saying earlier, you have to really find very quickly you do 5 takes, and each take should be, I like to do things differently. In fact, it's not that I like to do things differently, I am incapable of doing anything the same way twice, which creates a bit of a problem sometimes, because some directors don't like it, they want exactly the same thing, and I can't really do that. So warning to all directors, if you want the same thing twice, don't hire me.
My whole life I've wanted to travel, I've wanted to tell stories, and I'm fortunate. I feel fortunate because I get to do something that I love to do. And to be able to travel the world, and it gives you, it does help as a human being, because you're living in, and as an actor I get to try and understand and learn many different things of life and different trades, and it gives you great perspective on the world, on life, on people. And I don't think you can help but grow as a human being.